If you want to see this documentary uncut and ad-free, check out my Patreon at patreon.com/diverse mentality, where you can check out all my documentaries uncut, raw, and ad-free. The link is in the description below. Also support us on the Diverse Mentality podcast, daily hip-hop news, debates, and even artist interviews. Check the link in the description below for that. And leave a like on this video. It really goes a long way. Thank you so much and enjoy the video.
Yeah, if I am to make any kind of impact in this world, and especially for young girls, then that would be the only way I can do that, is to be transparent, 100% vulnerable. You know, I speak very carefully, but it's always honest. It's not because I'm sitting here trying to think of something, some lie to say, you know.
They just want us to be over. Don't it sound like hate when they don't even know you?
Before we continue the video, I want to give a shout out to Scentbird for sponsoring today's video. Scentbird is reimagining everything about how people discover, shop for, purchase, and even experience fragrances. Scentbird is a place to begin or deepen your relationship with fragrances. It acts as a place to express your individuality and gives each and every person the power to express themselves through a fragrance. Scentbird lets you choose a new designer fragrance to try every month for just $17. Every month you get to pick what you want to receive, so there are no surprises. They have perfumes and colognes and a lot of unisex options. With each fragrance, you'll get a 30-day supply, so you can try out fragrances before committing to a full-size bottle that can cost over $150 and sometimes almost $500. And they carry all kinds of brands like Prada and Gucci, or indie labels like Skylar and Confessions of Rebel. The fragrances come in these nice pouches. When you open up the pouch, you can take out the Scentbird case, which is a very high quality case, and it looks very beautiful, especially in these three colors. In there, you can open up the perfume vial, and the vials are filled all the way up. And this specific fragrance is from Joseph Aboud, and it's Dark Woods. And this is my favorite out of the three fragrances because it's a very smooth smell. It doesn't come on too strong. Another fragrance that I got is by English Laundry, and it's called Throne. I really like the smell. It's very masculine and bold, and it comes on strong, so you only have to use a little bit, which is great. And my best scent memory is when I was in high school as a freshman. I wore this amazing Versace cologne, and I got compliments from literally every girl I came in contact with. And ever since then, I started using all kinds of colognes, and Scentbird is a great company for you to get introduced to all kinds of fragrances to see what you like and what works for you. So see what works for you. Scentbird is hooking us up. All you have to do is use my code DM55 to get 55% off your first month at Scentbird. It's available in the USA and Canada. The link is in the description below. Remember, use code DM55 to get 55% off. Thanks once again to Scentbird for sponsoring us, and let's continue the video. What up, guys? Your boy Quake, and I'm back with a brand new episode of What Happened To. And on this episode, I wanted to do something a little bit different and focused on a female artist on the R&B side instead of just focusing on hip-hop artists. And I've always wanted to do a video on this artist because she is super talented, super underrated in my opinion. She can actually write her own songs, which a lot of R&B artists don't do. And she did a lot in the music industry behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. Plus, she has a very unique, beautiful voice that I've always enjoyed. So as you can tell by the video title, I'm going to be talking about what happened to Keri Hilson. And what surprised me the most through doing research for this video is that Keri Hilson is behind some of the biggest hits that you had no idea about. Her pen game is something serious. So in this video, I'm going to explore how she grew up, how she got into the music industry, her dropping her albums, and then what she's up to right now. Keri Hilson was born on December 5th, 1982 in Decatur, Georgia. She was the second oldest of 5 kids and says she got her inspiration to do music from her father's side because her father's side was really creative. Her father sang, her grandmother sang, and her aunt sang. And she got that same ability because at the age of 3, she said that's when everyone started paying attention to her because every time they would ask her to sing, even in school, kids would ask her to sing despite other kids she thought were better singers than her.
At every family gathering, I was asked to sing. And I just remember being as young as 3 years old and looking above me, and everyone was interested in hearing this little girl sing. And I'm just like, but I'm the smallest in the room. Why does everyone care about me? But it's only when I'm singing. And then another time on the school bus, we sing in the back of the school bus, and there were some good voices, but they all wanted like lessons from me.
Wow. Yeah.
And I remember thinking, am I really that much better than you? You know, like there were moments, and of course, talent shows in Atlanta. When I grew up, there were a whole lot of talent shows, and I entered every one I heard about, and I had success at quite a few of them. So, yeah, from young, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I knew what made me happiest.
Yeah.
And what helped a lot was her father was heavily into singing, and because of that, she looked up to him, and he was heavily into music and played all kinds of music for her that influenced her. And her influences were the artists that were from Georgia, such as Ray Charles, James Brown, and even Outkast. And knowing from the fact that they were from Georgia, it inspired her a lot.
The Atlanta music scene has influenced me just because, you know, I watched people from my city blow up, so to speak. You know, we're a very, very creative city, and just being around that, I think it really, it's really inspiring, and you get to see people in their raw form before the fame, before all of that. And I think, you know, some of it, when you grow up in a creative place, some of it rubs off on you.
And she would go to church every Sunday and eventually joined the choir there singing. And her mother was heavily into the arts. She would make Keri Hilson take piano lessons, violin lessons, dance lessons, all through her daycare center. So music from the jump was in her blood and in her surroundings. And by the time she hit age 11, she got into writing through her piano coach. She eventually got bored with the piano, and the piano coach decided to be her vocal coach, and she started singing over what he was playing on the piano. And eventually a recital came up, and she had no idea how to write a song, so her coach said, write a song. And that's when she started learning. And she would always sing over other people's songs, but as time went on, she started writing her own versions of the songs that she loved the most. Then at church, she met someone around the age of 12 to 13 who had tracks that she could record on, and eventually her babysitter had a studio she could go and record music at. So at 12, she did exactly that and recorded her first song titled, I'll Never Let Go.
Do you remember the first song you ever wrote?
I do. It's called I'll Never Let Go. Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 12 years old.
Ooh, I want to hear it.
Oh, God.
How'd it go?
All I remember is the hook.
Okay, what was the hook?
I'll never let go. I'll never let go. I'll never let go of your loving, boy. That's it. That's all I remember.
Wow. I'll never let go.
Of your loving, boy.
I didn't know where he was going with that. So like,
And as time went on, she got better and better and got noticed and even got put in a group titled By Design. It was a girl group that was signed to a record label, but ultimately that girl group ended up disbanding. As time went on, she had finished high school and went to college, and around this time, she was working around Anthony Dent, and he ended up forming a group with her called The Writer's Block, and she would end up writing a lot of songs, getting practice in, and even got signed to Universal's publishing group. And by the time she turned 20, she got her first major album placement, but this was for a major Japanese artist by the name of Michiko. Her debut album was titled I Do and released in December of 2002. She got writing credits officially on there for the song titled Jump, which was a huge accomplishment for Keri Hilson at that time. Anthony Dent also wanted to form another girl group, and Keri Hilson at that time was writing for that girl group, but eventually she ended up writing for other artists and ended up meeting Timbaland. She and Anthony Dent went on a trip in Miami, which was a trip for a bunch of writers to get together from different record labels to form ideas and new music. From that, she ended up forming a group titled The Clutch, and from there, she ended up becoming a background vocalist for the likes of Usher, Ludacris, Kelly Rowland, Ciara, and then she even ended up meeting Polo the Don, and Timbaland and Polo the Don would end up catapulting her career. In 2006 is when she would write a huge amount of hits, some songs that you had probably no idea about. One of the first is Mary J. Blige's Take Me As I Am, then Omarion's Icebox, Ciara's Like a Boy, the Pussycat Dolls' Wait a Minute, Ludacris's Runaway Love with Mary J. Blige. By the way, she didn't write Ludacris's bars, but Mary J. Blige's. Then she would end up appearing on a song as the lead singer on it on Lloyd Banks' single Help, which was off Rotten Apple. And this song was incredibly underrated. It's one of my favorites from Lloyd Banks, and it's a shame it didn't perform as well as it should have. In 2006, Timbaland ended up starting a new label titled Mosley Music Group, and with this label, he ended up signing Keri Hilson, and in 2007 is when Keri Hilson would finally go into the limelight. On April 2nd, 2007, Timbaland released his second solo studio album titled Shock Value. And on this album, Keri Hilson was featured on various tracks such as Scream with Nicole Scherzinger, Miscommunication with her and Sebastian, and The Way I Are with her and D.O.E. And The Way I Are is the one that became a single and skyrocketed Keri Hilson into the limelight. This song ended up peaking at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and went 3 times platinum. After the major success of this song, Polo the Don and Timbaland figured it was time to start pushing Keri Hilson as a solo artist. In 2007, they had originally planned for her debut album to come out, but that ultimately didn't happen. And that was discouraging for Keri Hilson because at this time, she had ended up being signed to Timbaland and Polo the Don as a joint venture on Interscope Records for a couple of years, and her album kept getting shelved. So with the success of that song, she finally got focus on her solo album. And in 2008, she would finally start releasing singles from that album. Before she focused on her album, though, she was still doing work for other artists. She did background vocals and lyrics for various songs. One of the songs that was major in 2007, it was released on August 31st. It was titled Give Me More by Britney Spears. This was her return single, and it peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Then 2008 came around, and she started releasing her own solo singles. On May 27, 2008, she dropped her first solo single titled Energy. The song ended up peaking at number 78 on the Billboard Hot 100. Although it didn't perform the way she would have liked, it was still a great start, and in my opinion, this is a very underrated song. It should have performed a lot better. Then on October 7, 2008, she dropped her second single, Return the Favor, and this time it would be featuring Timbaland in hopes that they would catch the same magic from the song The Way I Are. But unfortunately, this song ended up performing worse than Energy, so she was going backwards, and the album ended up getting pushed back even more. Despite that, it didn't discourage her because she had Timbaland and Polo the Don on her side, and those two at that time were the biggest producers. So Timbaland and Polo the Don would go back and forth competing on who could deliver the better records, and ultimately Polo the Don delivered Keri Hilson's major first solo single. Polo the Don and Keri Hilson worked in the studio relentlessly and released her third single titled Turning Me On, and Polo ended up getting Lil Wayne on the track. And a reminder, at this time, Lil Wayne was literally the hottest artist, period. So if he was featured on your track, it was definitely a good look. The song skyrocketed Keri Hilson's solo career. The song ended up peaking at number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100 and ended up going platinum. Finally, after this, Keri Hilson got her big break and got an official release date for her debut album. Her debut album was scheduled to be released on March 24th, 2009. However, 3 weeks before that, while on a promo run, the remix version of Turnin' Me On got leaked online with a verse from T-Pain and a new verse from Keri Hilson. And on this verse, a lot of people were speculating she was dissing Ciara and Beyonce. And I can dive deeply into this in a different video, but ultimately while doing her promo run, she denied that she was dissing both of them and just said she was talking to haters throughout her life.
Polo the Don talked you into the studio. leaked a record that's considered a diss song for Beyonce and Ciara. Is that true?
It's considered that. Yes, Polo had this idea. No, he did not leak it. It's not the version Polo wanted out.
Okay.
You know, people said, look, oh, it sounds like you're going at this person and that person. And when the moment names started being thrown around, we were like, oh, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
That's not, it's not what we wanted to accomplish with this record. I did want to address the haters and the hatred that I've had pretty much my whole entire career.
Right.
In music. Yes, there have been so many people that have tried to turn me off, and I said, you know what, I want to take that meaning of the song and just let people know you're not going to turn me off. I'm going to stay turning it on, like I say in the song.
Finally, after this, on March 24th, 2009, her debut album titled In a Perfect World was released. It ended up debuting at number 4 on the Billboard 200 and sold 94,000 copies in its first week and ultimately ended up going gold. And to me, this is one of my favorite R&B albums that came out at that time, and my favorite track on this album is titled Change Me with Akon. They ended up shooting a music video for this track, but it's nowhere on YouTube, only the low quality version. And it's a very underrated track that I felt should have been way bigger. After the release of the album, she kept pushing singles off the album, and on April 7, 2009, she would push the single Knock You Down with Neo and Kanye West, and this would end up becoming Keri Hilson's biggest song of her career. The song peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and ended up going double platinum. And because she was a household name at this point, every artist wanted her on hooks singing, and some of my favorite tracks she's on is Nas's Hero and Fabulous's Everything, Every Day, Everywhere. That song is super underrated as well. If you haven't heard it, go ahead and check it out. And of course, with the major success of her debut album, the label immediately wanted her to work on her second album, and in 2010, she did exactly that. On September 7th, 2010, she dropped the first single off her new album titled Breaking Point. Unfortunately, this song did not perform the way she would have hoped. It only peaked at number 44 on the US Hot R&B charts and did not peak on the Billboard Hot 100 at all. Following that, she would have more success on the next single, which would be released on October 12th, 2010, titled Pretty Girl Rock. This song was a huge hit for her, and it peaked at number 24 on the Billboard Hot 100 and ended up going platinum. And with the success of that single, they were ready to release Keri Hilson's second album. And on December 17th, 2010, she released her second album, No Boys Allowed. The album ended up debuting at number 11 on the Billboard 200 and sold 102,000 copies within its first week. And despite it not debuting higher than the first album, it still sold more the first week. And this was also a great album. One of my favorite tracks is Bayou with J. Cole. I felt like that should have been a single. It probably would have popped off. And they continued promoting the album by pushing One Night Stand with Chris Brown as a single on the album. This song did not chart on the Billboard Hot 100, but it did peak at number 19 on the R&B and hip hop songs. Little did we know after all this would be Keri Hilson's last album. To this date, she hasn't released any new albums or singles. And now let's talk about why. In 2011, while doing promo runs for her second album, people would ask, what does she have coming next? And she would mention that she is already working on her third studio album and said it was a very personal album and that some people wouldn't like it, but the majority of the world would. And as she continued doing interviews, she continued talking about a third album and how she was working on a new sound and doing something completely different, but mixing the first and second album with this third.
My third album already, can't believe it. It's pretty emotional. It's pretty emotional. It's very heartfelt, but there's some fun. You know, you get the Turning Me On Keri, you get the Knock You Down Keri, you get the Pretty Girl Rock Keri, all in one. But you're also getting what you loved about the first album, In a Perfect World. So all of that with an emotional tone, emotional flavor. So I'm super excited about it. I know my fans will be, and those few specific people who were part of my life may not enjoy hearing it. So I don't recommend they pick it up, but my fans will love it.
In 2011, Keri Hilson also revealed that she was going through depression when she was making her second album. During the Pretty Girl Rock music video shoot, she realized that she was going through a lot because she had just broken up an 11-year relationship. She was with the guy from 17 to 28, and she says she didn't know who she was as an individual because she was so used to being in a relationship.
It's kind of hard. It's depression is hard to describe. I knew that I was beside myself, and this was like at the peak, at the top of Pretty Go Rock. Surprisingly, we had already shot another video, so it was at the beginning of 2011. I had to do a couple more things, but I knew I got to slow down. I started to contemplate losing my career, leaving my career altogether. I just knew I needed time to get back to myself. I was incredibly not happy. And I was in an 11-year relationship. And I was 17 to 28 years old in that relationship. So I did not know life alone. I did not know and love and accept myself. I didn't know who the hell I was. I only knew who I was in the context of that relationship. 17 is very young to attach yourself to someone for that long. So not saying it was a very incredibly unhealthy relationship or anything like that. It was not even very tumultuous at all.
She also revealed that a lot of people were swaying her music career in different directions that she necessarily didn't like, such as going at Beyonce. She felt that was not something that she should have done, and that a lot of people surrounding her were telling her to do these things, and she didn't really want to do them. She said that she was young and naive and didn't know a lot of things that were going on in the music industry, and because of all these things going on, it swayed her away from the music.
When you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder and they make threats. And those threats are huge ones. And you know what I mean? You don't feel like you have a choice. I really didn't feel like I had a choice. It was do this or this will happen. And I'm young, I'm early 20s, and I'm like, they're like, sing this song. You don't have it, you're here for a couple hours. I flew in town. It's the whole, if you don't, then blank. So you learn to fight harder. I didn't have enough fight in me I was maybe 20, 21. I didn't have enough fight in me.
As time went on, though, it would seem like she shifted her focus from music into TV, because as the years went on, she would appear in movies but not release any music. In 2012, she appeared in the movie Think Like a Man, and in 2013, she appeared in the movie Riddick. Despite all these acting roles, people in interviews would constantly ask her, when is she coming out with new music? And years would go on and no new music would be released. In 2014, she dealt with breaking up with Serge Ibaka, and a lot of people were asking her questions about that. What happened with their relationship? And is she going to release new music talking about it? Because a lot of her music is about her personal life, and she's stated various times that she doesn't record music just to record music. It has to have a meaning behind it. So while going through that, a lot of people were expecting her to release a new album. And in 2016, there was leaks of the title of her upcoming album, and it was set to be titled Liar, an acronym for Love is a Religion. And she got asked various times about this album. When is it coming out? Who is featured on it? And of course, she mentioned Timbaland, Polo the Don, Chris Brown, and various other artists. But as time went on, nothing came out about it. However, her acting career would continue, and in 2016, she was featured in the movie Almost Christmas. Then she started appearing on television in 2017 on the show Love by the 10th Date. And because she announced the new album title and was constantly previewing music on Snapchat and even appeared on Tiwa Hill's single Beautiful as a feature, people were expecting her to make a comeback in music, but ultimately once again in 2017, that didn't happen. Then in 2018, she got asked once again, what is going on with the music? Are we going to get anything? She revealed that she spent hundreds of thousands of dollars for studio time and didn't actually record anything because she was going through so much that she couldn't muster up the energy and effort to record something, and that she only wanted to release something if it was genuine and was actually what she was going through.
It's really important to express yourself through your pain. That's what it is meant for. That honesty, that pain, that truth. I remember a lot of days I was just incapable. I paid over $100,000 in studio time, and a lot of days I would pull up and I didn't go in. I couldn't go in. And I'm remembering those times right now. But it became, I kept pushing. And I did some of the best work that I've ever done through that time. So it got easier. And the lesson, was that's what we're here to do. I'm here to inspire those. I'm here to be honest. I'm not here to do music that paints me perfect. I'm not here to do that.
Yeah, it wasn't an intentional pivot, but it was a welcomed change because 2020 was so difficult. I was grieving my father, and then we all know the racial tension and obviously COVID, and there was so much going on that I just really initially was just welcoming a pause, a selah, a break from stress. Like, let me put my focus elsewhere for a moment. And then it became, okay, so one offer turned into another offer, and then now I'm auditioning, and now I'm landing stuff, and I have previous work that's out, but I'm actually being chosen from my acting ability now, and that turned into lead roles, and I'm like, I better take, I take everything I do very seriously. This is why I don't do a million things at once. I literally am the type of person where I have to authentically be there and give my all. So yeah, it became that. It became that, and I'm really grateful because it was an unexpected turn of events in my life.
Then in 2019, she announced that she would be releasing new music in the summer and actually went on tour with a bunch of female artists like Maya, Brandy, Ashanti, Monica, and Anne-Marie. Then in October of that year, Hilson talked about her new album and said it was untitled, not previously titled Liar, and that it was in the final stages of mixing and mastering and that it would eventually come out. But ultimately, as 2019 went on, that didn't happen. Then in 2020, she said that the reason why she didn't release new music is because of the pandemic. A lot of artists couldn't tour and do what they wanted to do with their albums, so she decided to take a hiatus for that and actually went into more acting, and says that that wasn't initially her plan. She was really focused on getting back into music, but the pandemic stopped that. However, in April of 2020, she appeared as a feature artist on Stonebwoy's song Nominate. So later that year, she ended up not releasing any music like she had planned. But in 2021, she did a lot more acting and appeared in 3 TV shows and 2 new films. The TV shows she appeared in was Don't Waste Your Pretty, Lust, A 7 Deadly Sins Story, and The Hotline. As far as the TV films that she appeared in was For the Love of the Money and A Hip Hop Family Christmas. So as 2021 went by, no new music was released. What is she up to now in 2022? She is currently on tour for the Millennium Tour Turned Up with Bow Wow, Mario, Lloyd, Pleasure P, Bobby V, Dem Franchise Boys, Lil Scrappy, Crime Mob, and a lot more. So I'm hoping while she's on this tour, she gets inspired to actually release new music, because in various interviews, she's always stated that she's always been in the studio recording and making new music, but just hasn't released it. So hopefully in 2023, we actually get a new album from Keri Hilson. I would love that because she's one of the most talented and underrated R&B singers I've listened to, with a unique voice, can dance, can songwrite, and a lot of R&B artists can't say that. So that's it for this video of what happened to Keri Hilson. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your favorite songs from Keri Hilson are and what you hope to expect from her in 2023. Also, let me know what artists you want me to focus on next for this What Happened To series. I'll see you guys in the next one. That's it for today's video. If you guys want to support this channel further, you can do so at patreon.com/ youtube.com/diverse mentality. For just $3 a month, you can get my videos uncut and raw the way I intended them to be, but couldn't because of YouTube. Plus, you also get access to our Discord community, where we have a great community talking about hip hop and various other things. It's very dope. So only $3 a month. I'd really appreciate the support. Also follow us on social media at QuakeGW and at Diverse Mentality. Thank you so much for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.